It really took me time to accept the fact that that was it. And as I grew older, I kind of noticed the reason why he didn't get a chance to get to know me. Some of which is a bit sensitive for me to talk about, but um, you know, as we mature, we get to understand that okay, our parents are people too, and they make their choices, some of which they're not really proud of, and it's not like they don't know that the choices have actually had an effect on us, but they can't reverse that. So they end up being in a position of saying like, okay, this is what is there, let's just continue the way it is, but not knowing that whatever happened in the past actually has an impact on the kids. Took me a time to heal from the fact that my dad really didn't know me because of the certain experiences that I had as a kid with him, and seeing everything in our home, and him with my mother and everything. It took me time to deal with the fact that not all men are the same.
Yeah.
Not all men are the same, and not everyone is going to be like that. And just because a certain mistake happened with your father doesn't mean that that's who he is. It took me time to process all these things. But the thing that was most hard for me to process is the fact that not all men are the same. Oh, that one was hard. Because it seemed like I kept on encountering people with the same kind of similar vibe, character, tend to feed on your feminine energy and leave kind of people. But then I had to, it now goes back to that thing that sometimes you have to sit down and have a conversation with your inner child, and you just.
Welcome to the Safe Lounge. I'm Marilyn.
Welcome back, guys, and I'm Caroline.
And today we have a very special guest. We're going to allow her to introduce herself, but she's going to introduce herself and what we're going to be talking about today with the song, because she also can sing. So she's just going to do a song. It's an impromptu. It's not like it has to be. It's unrehearsed, by the way. She has to do it on the spot.
Oh my God.
So be nice.
I'm so excited.
Let's go.
Oh my
Over
God.
to you, Thuba.
I'm already laughing. Hi guys, my name is Thuba, and okay, I'm just gonna sing a song. Okay, welcome to the Safe Lounge, tackling mental issues. Yeah.
Woo!
I don't even know where that came from, but anyway, here goes.
And what are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about dealing with childhood trauma. Childhood trauma.
All right. And when it comes to childhood trauma, right, it's very broad. So what we're going to be talking about today is the less visible childhood trauma. And Caroline, maybe you can explain what that is.
Sure. We have, when we're growing up, because we're saying childhood, right? When we grow up, it's not just the physical ones, the physical abuse that is noticeable, like a child being hit or things like that. It's also the emotional abuse that a person goes through in their childhood that then affects their later, their adulthood. So it's things like emotional neglect, emotional abuse, bullying, withdrawal of affection, things like that. So they impact you, they affect you in your childhood. They affect how you relate with people. They then affect your later relationships, how you relate with people when you're an adult. Intimate relationships, but even just relationship with your peers, how you view the world and how you relate with them.
100%, I agree. And what comes into mind, like when you think about childhood trauma, what quickly comes to your mind? I can start with you, Thuba.
Well, for me, what comes to my mind is basically it's linked with abuse one way or the other. It can be physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. All those things, they kind of have a certain effect on you as an individual. And it starts like what Caroline just said, that childhood trauma affects how we are, like when we get to an adult stage. It's all in the foundations. I don't want to start preaching. Oh Lord, have mercy. It all starts with the foundation. I was want to say if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? But it all starts with the foundation, right? If the foundation is affected, it affects how you would deal with life in the future. So what I've noticed, guys, is that almost like 75% of the adults in this day and age are actually living life that is as a result of trauma. Like, it's a normality to them, but they don't know that these things or certain characteristics or traits about their character are actually linked with what happened to them as kids.
Yes, 100%.
I can assure you, if you're listening to this show and watching the show and you're saying that you are an introvert, after this show, you will reevaluate your introversion, because chances are you're an introvert because you were traumatized.
An introvert here, just like, okay, I'm an introverted extrovert, right?
Oh, wow.
That's
You need to explain that.
Yeah.
You need to explain that.
No, like, I'm an introvert to people that don't know me, but then no one who knows me will say I'm an introvert. So I'm an introverted extrovert, as in, if you get to know me, you're like, oh my God, I can be the loudest person in the room. But then when I'm around people who don't know me, it's like, can she speak?
I'm sure the safe loungers are like, no, you're not an introvert at all.
No, but then it's because for people that have seen me on the safe lounge, I've had a lot of people coming to me and being like, oh, we didn't know. Like, you know, and I'm sure I give off that because I've had that even growing up, that people will be shocked. Like, oh my God, she talks. And she talks like this. Like, this is even my way of thinking. People, I don't know. Like, people think I think a certain way. So, yeah, anyway, we're back to childhood traumas and things like that. I'm sure there's an explanation around why I tend to shrink back when I'm in places where there are a lot of people. And then I come out when I'm in my own personal space. For me, it might not be trauma, but then the fact that I was raised as a young kid, I was an only child, right? I think that contributed in the sense that when I'm in my personal space, I'm myself. But then when people come, at first I'm shaken. Like, it's like, oh my God, so many people. What am I going to do? But then I don't think it's a trauma. You say there's a difference between trauma and what? And triggers. What is it? The other thing, it's not as bad as trauma, but then it's a life experience, a negative life experience, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I think about when I think about childhood traumas and how we end up being different people when we're grown.
No, but you just spoke about childhood experiences and how it affects your personality, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But when it comes to trauma, though, childhood trauma, it's my trauma is not the invisible one. Like what I was saying before, that for this one, maybe I'm more or less, I would speak more when it comes to the visible one, like losing a parent at a young age, because that I know definitely is my childhood trauma, and it has affected the relationships that I've had as an adult, the friendships that I've had, how I relate to older people, even up to this age. Whenever an older man speaks, the moment they raise their voice, oh my God, I'm out of the conversation. Like, I can't, like, I freeze. Does that come from a place of there was somebody in your life who shouted at you and it traumatized you?
There was nobody in my life with that much of a strong voice that I would hear every day, such that now when I hear it, or when I hear a male voice trying to, even my headmaster in high school, guys, I was scared of that man. And regardless of who he is, what he does, even if the nicest person, like even the nicest teachers, the nicest male teachers that we had, the moment they raise their voices, I'm like, oh my God.
Is it because there's such a contrast between you growing up in an environment with females and
Yes.
then when you then
Licking
get
a
the
male
masculine, it's
Like the example that I gave, right?
Mm.
The example that I gave of my headmaster. He's a dad to one of my closest friends. So he's like a dad in general. So now when you look at it like that, that's where you see that, okay, this is probably because I didn't have that in my household. In as much as I had people that would play the father figure or the father role, right?
Yeah.
But then I wasn't staying with them. And because of that trauma, is there and it's present. And then also the fact that part of that trauma is when you're a child, you can't process grief. I lost my dad when I was 3. So of course you can't process grief. You don't even know what grief is.
Yeah.
And because of that, it then becomes a traumatic experience because you're experiencing all these feelings and you're going through a lot of emotions, but you have zero idea how to handle it.
Imagine adults struggle with processing grief.
Yes.
And how much is it for a child, let alone a 3-year-old?
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, there's a lot of things to handle.
For your experience.
Yeah. I accept the apology. Anyway, now to the more invisible one. I don't know. Like
For me, it was growing up. Growing up, I don't know, I've said this many times, I don't know if it's on this podcast. Like my father was there, but he was physically present, but emotionally unavailable. And it's also because now that I'm grown, I'm able to process that he was also going through his own issues and dealing with his own traumas, or if he was dealing with them at all. But then when you're then handling a child and, you're not emotionally available, and my mom was very busy. She was an extremely busy woman. So I didn't really grow up having that emotional cuddling and, having somebody emotionally present for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it could be termed as emotional neglect.
It's definitely emotional
It is
neglect.
an emotional neglect.
And that's your trauma speaking. It's not allowing you to be like,
Yeah, it's emotional neglect.
yeah, that must have been emotional neglect.
It's very true because I can actually relate because I kind of went through a similar experience. Like, my dad was there. May his soul rest in peace. My dad was there, but he was not always emotionally there. I can just say, like, basically, my dad did not know me. Like, he knew me.
I'm
like
tempted to say typical African dad, but no.
typical African dad. Oh God, but
No, they're getting better. They're
yeah,
improving.
because he knew me as his daughter, but he did not know me as his daughter. I don't know if that
you
makes sense.
as in you, like what
Like,
do you entail, right?
Yeah, he didn't know me as me. Like, okay, what are the things that Tuba cannot handle? Okay, in what environment does Tuba find herself insecure? What are the things that she likes to do? What are her hobbies?
And this is someone that you're looking
Can
to.
you take
And
a
the funny
moment?
part
Protect
is,
you.
I sing, but my father never saw me singing. He never got a chance to be in an audience where he's watching me sing. That's the depth of how he didn't
But did
really know
he at
much.
least know that you can sing?
Maybe my mom once told him, like, oh yeah, I think Tuba can sing. But he never was in an audience where I was singing. So he was there, but he was not, there.
I get it.
And one funny part, as you were explaining, what came to my mind is that emotional neglect, that part where you're lacking that male voice, it actually opens you up to a certain character whereby you find yourself craving a certain level of affection. and it leads you to having wrong relationships later on in the future, because that gap that was supposed to be filled by a male figure in your life is not there. So like the role of a father basically is to be there. The first male figure that you experience as a girl child.
Yes.
So whether the male figure is good or is bad, that's the first male figure you experience. If your father, is doing well, then chances are you are on the right track to marrying a good man. But if your father didn't really do well, chances are you are going to meet some really Jacuzco boys,
You're
and they're going to
attracted
mess
to
with
what
your heart
you know.
because there's a part of your heart.
Jacuzco.
Jacuzco, yeah. Some Jacuzco boys that are actually going to mess up with your heart. And that is, and to you might be thinking, oh, maybe there's something wrong with me, or I attract bad boys. But actually, it's actually a trigger to show you that, wait, you have some underlying trauma that was never dealt with, that grew into your character. And so because of that, unbeknownst to you, actually attracting, or you're now finding yourself attracted to that kind of that kind of criteria of guys, because
Yes.
you are lacking somewhere. There's a part of you that is lacking affection.
And when we did the daddy issue segment also, I think we spoke on a little bit on this, that in as much as you didn't even like the things that your dad did, or that male figure in your life did, 90% of people, I don't know the statistics, but it's a high statistic, right? 90% of people end up marrying someone similar to that person. Because it's what you know, and you have also learned, the explanation behind that was you have learned how to cope with that type of person.
Yeah.
So even their bad behavior, let's say they're emotionally unavailable, for example, you now know how to deal with an emotionally unavailable man.
True.
So it's not going to be a challenge as much as it would be for someone who grew up with an emotionally available dad, and they would be like, oh, no, something's wrong here, something's wrong here, something's wrong here. So unless you have healed and you have dealt with it, for the probability of you actually getting to be with the bad boys or the
Jacuzcos.
what you call them?
Jacuzco, the Jacuzco boys of the land.
Where did that even come from? Jacuzco? Like, that's so random.
You'll probably end up with one because that's what you're used to.
We tend to move towards what's familiar.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think we skimmed over and we didn't really process what she said about my dad didn't know me.
Yeah.
Can we take a moment to process that? Because your parent is the person who's supposed to know you.
True.
Yeah.
And so for you then to say, he did not know me. How does that sit with you?
It really took me time to accept the fact that was it. And as I grew older, I kind of noticed the reason why he didn't get a chance to get to know me, some of which is a bit sensitive for me to talk about. But, as we mature, we get to understand that, okay, our parents are people too. And they make their choices, some of which they're not really proud of. And it's not like they don't know that the choices have actually had an effect on us, but they can't reverse that. So they end up being in a position of saying like, okay, this is what is there. Let's just continue the way it is. But not knowing that whatever happened in the past actually has an impact on the kids. Took me a time to heal from the fact that my dad really didn't know me because of the certain experiences that I had as a kid with him, and seeing everything in our home, and him with my mother and everything. It took me time to deal with the fact that not all men are the same.
Yeah.
Not all men are the same, and not everyone is going to be like that. And just because a certain mistake happened with your father doesn't mean that that's who he is. It took me time to process all these things. But the thing that was most hard for me to process is the fact that not all men are the same. Oh, that one was hard. Because it seemed like I kept on encountering people with the same kind of similar vibe, character, tend to feed on your feminine energy and leave kind of people. But then I had to, like, it now goes back to that thing that sometimes you have to sit down and have a conversation with your inner child, and you just go like, you know what? The world is diverse. The world is broad. There are different people out there, and not everyone is going to be like this person. And even though that person exuded that kind of character, it doesn't mean that that's who they are. They might have made a mistake that made you to be in that position. Like my own position, like when I said, like, my dad didn't know me. He had a lot of things going on, and some of which we're still discovering till date.
Love of others.
So some of which we're still discovering till date. But come to think of it, when I think of it right now, I'll be like, oh, so this is the reason why this was happening like this. Okay, now I start to have, I now have an ability to empathize. Okay, if I was in that position, what would I have done? Or maybe I would have actually done the same thing, because I don't know how to deal with whatever I've done, because every action is a consequence.
That's true.
So maybe he might have found himself in a position whereby the consequences of whatever had happened, there was so much for him to handle, and he didn't also have the ability or anyone guiding him to make things right, which goes on to the area of us being emotionally intelligent or emotionally mature.
Yeah.
Sometimes our parents might not have the emotional maturity to deal with certain things, and so they project that kind of character to us. If they have been traumatized as kids, it gets passed on to them, and then they get to pass it on to us. I think I saw one video on Instagram like that. It was like a cartoon animation thing. Like it was showing a certain lady, and that lady seemed like her mother used to shout at her a lot. And then that lady has a kid, a daughter, and then that lady is shouting at that daughter. That daughter is shouting at the daughter of the daughter. Like it gets passed on from one generation to another. But to the last one, she chose to be different. She chose to heal from that. And now when she had a kid, she was not shouting at the kid, but she was, relating with the child better. So it goes back to that issue of emotional maturity. Maybe, Carol, you can tell us more about emotional maturity.
I want to get there, but before we go there, I'm sorry, I'm going to poke. I'm going to poke because it is safe. Because we tend to rationalize. We tend to rationalize the pain that we've been through. But when I asked you, how did that make you feel? You said it was because blah, blah, blah. And then but name that feeling. What does it feel like? Because see, there's a person who went through it, who is not able to name it, to name that feeling. Because when you name it, you're exposing, this is how I feel. And then we can then start the process of rationalizing and getting to how can we heal with this. So how does that feel?
Okay, that actually made me feel unwanted, like I was not a priority. It made it. Now that you're talking, now I'm actually noticing. You see what I said in the beginning, that some of the things that we do, that we deem normal, are actually because of childhood trauma. Now it's not like a character. Like how I just rushed through your question like that. That's one of the things.
Okay, unwanted.
Yeah, it made me feel unwanted. Like I felt like maybe he had other priorities and I was not just a priority. So because of that, I felt more closer to my mom because my mom prioritized me more.
Okay.
So to my father, I felt like, okay, I'm not wanted. Maybe I'm wanted, but I don't know.
Not like that.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not a priority.
Does that also lead to feeling, to thinking that maybe I'm not worthy of love? Does that lead there, or it's just, are you able to then say, only this person does not want me?
I think I would say like only this person doesn't want me.
But when it comes to relationships with the opposite sex, because usually what would then happen would be you have good female friends because you know how a female can love you.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to your male friendships or relationships, are they not affected by that? Like, is a man capable of actually loving me and knowing me for me? And is it not a trigger?
It's hitting.
I like that you actually brought that up because
Is it not a trigger when you feel like they're not getting to know you the way that you want them to know you? Because you had this at the back of your mind. Like, I had a man who didn't bother or who didn't take time to get to know me. So when you get into a relationship, are you then not going to faster, you need to know everything about me if I'm going to feel safe around
Coming to that, I like that you brought that. It leads me to another thing. Have you ever heard about masculine females and feminine males?
Yeah.
Those kind of characteristics of people are coming from, those type of people are people that have actually faced a certain level of childhood trauma and it has grown into their character. So now with what you said, based on my experience and what I saw as a kid, I was raised to be a masculine female.
Yeah.
My mother raised me, not saying that she did the wrong thing. No, she was equipping us because it's hard in the streets, okay? She raised us to be masculine women. A woman must have her things, have your degree, have your career, have your things. Then when you get married, if that person does something, you can tell them, boy, bye.
Yeah.
I got my own things, okay? So it made me to become a masculine female, such that even small things that show femininity, like opening the door for me, I can like, you don't have to do that for me.
Cringe.
I can open my door for myself.
I get you.
Wait,
I can change the light bulb.
Yes, I can, and I will.
And I can take out the garbage by myself.
Yes, please.
Because that's how I saw it. But I didn't know.
No,
for me,
wait. The yes, please, that's coming from this.
No, I agree. But then, and unfortunately, for me now, it's not even because I was told these things. But then, growing up, right? Growing up with my mom being the breadwinner, being the one who's working. As a child, I think that's what's expected of me.
exactly.
So I already grew up thinking that I'm supposed to provide. I'm supposed to work hard. I'm not supposed to rely on a man to change a clock. I'm not supposed to rely on a man to fix the plumbing of the house. If there's a problem, we need to fix it. And I need to be able to do that.
Exactly.
To give context to when you were growing up, was your dad present in the house or?
Not all the time. Like my dad was deployed to a different city in Zimbabwe. We're in Blawayo and he was in Kwekwe. So he would come on holidays or we would go to Kwekwe during holidays. So half of the time we spent the time with our mother.
Which then makes the same, it's a kind of similar setup where, you grow up with your mom and she's handling everything. So you kind of pick
that's
that up.
what I saw and that's what I also was, taught. Because I saw that, I actually came to reason, like, if my mom was not educated, where would we be? If she didn't stand up, what would... So that kind of thing was now inbuilt in me. For me, initially, it was like, okay, I'm cool with everything. Everything is okay with me. I'm okay the way I am. Yeah. But when I began to grow older, then it began to show that, okay, this defense mechanism, this thing is actually a defense mechanism of blocking, not exactly blocking, of, being a strong person. Not that I'm a feminist. I'm a girl's girl, okay? But this defense mechanism actually went into my relationship. Like what she said, you end up having good girlfriends. But when it comes to guys, I built the walls of Jericho to be fortified.
Because you're trying
such
to protect
that I
yourself.
taught myself that the ones that will get to me are the real men because they were able to fight through the wall.
Yes.
I'm not going to let you into my heart that easy. I'm not that soft. Because I didn't want that vulnerability to me. I didn't want it to be shown. Because for me, the moment, I'm still dealing with that, by the way. My friend always tells me, like, can you just calm down? Like,
take it down a notch.
Calm down. It's not wrong for you to like somebody. And for them to know. For me, at that time, me liking someone and them knowing is a sign that you now know that I'm weak.
I'm not vulnerable.
That's now I have a soft spot for you. So now you're going to treat me anyhow. That thing now, I didn't know it all that time that it was actually because of, childhood trauma.
Yeah.
So bit by bit, I've been going through a phase whereby I'm slowly allowing myself to be more feminine. Or a point to not, doesn't mean that I'm gay. I'm not gay. You know, when people hear masculine men, female, and feminine men, you don't think that we're talking about gay.
It's because of life experience.
It's because of life experiences. The person is completely, you know, proper, but life experience now teach a person to have that kind of defense mechanism whereby they have to be, you know, strong. Because once they let a person in, the worst happened. And if it's true, after I decided, okay, this defense, maybe I should calm down. Maybe I should actually open up more and allow someone to come in. I allowed one Jacusko person to come into my life.
Yes.
And that person did me dirty. And my heart was really broken because of the fact that you built that wall. The person that now goes through, you now have a certain level of appreciation for them. And so you now love too hard.
You let your guard down because you're like
completely down is an understatement. It was a road.
Yes, that's true. Because
the guard was a road. They can just walk in and out.
Yeah,
no need for anything. And that opened me up to another level of hurt that I experienced. Because now I was now in the position where I'm like, wait, one time now I've decided to open up and this happens. Let's fortify the walls even more.
So it makes it even more difficult for the next person.
Exactly.
Or the other side. So you could react like this and then have your wall up. Or you could become very needy when it comes to relationships. Now, in the sense that what I was saying, that you meet someone today, you are expecting them to fill in that void as fast as possible.
Exactly.
Like by next week, you're expecting them to be your
Proposing
go-to person. Like your...
Should be sure that you're proposing by next week.
Even apart from, and to have the emotional capacity to handle you and all your problems.
Hey guys, let me tell you.
Yes.
What do you call them?
Jacuzco.
Jacuzco. This, I don't know. I feel bad saying Jacuzco, but
They are that.
Tell it like it is.
like when you have that, because you've gone through emotional neglect, you want the person that you get into a relationship with to be emotionally mature, right?
Yeah.
And then you say something that's bothering you, something that's heavy, and the person just goes, ma what?
What?
And that's it. That's all they're going to give you.
But then again, what she said, when we say that, okay, let's not start defending them. But then let's first deal with what it makes you feel, right? Going on to the defending them side. Like what you said. When they say Mawan, it's probably because they actually don't know how to react in a situation like that. And there's a high probability that it has to do with their childhood traumas.
True.
Like they don't even know. Like they didn't even see a man being there for a woman like that. Or
that's
like, okay,
good.
so when I see when my mom is crying, this is how my dad handles it. Probably the mom would cry when the dad is not even there.
Exactly.
So they also don't know that, okay, this is how I can be there when a woman is being emotional. So it's passed on. It becomes a cycle, basically. That what we experience, we start doing it. I was thinking about it when you were saying that the mom who used to shout at their daughter, and then the daughter shouts at the daughter, and it goes on like that. For me, I was telling you, right, about people used to tell me that my mom, when you would leave things around, she would then come and pick it and say and throw it away, like just to promote people being neat. I found myself doing that. I
became your mother.
Picked all her toys that she left around after I said it's cleanup time and she wasn't listening. I picked all of them. I put them in a garbage bin.
You threw them away.
I'm going to throw them away. But then, in as much as yes, that's a good side of it, right? But then it can be passed down, and it's something that I was doing subconsciously. Like I was just like, how can I handle this situation? And I went to the default
because that's what you know.
So that's what happens even with these emotional needs and things like that. you go to your default. That's
It's
what
true.
you know. And that's how you would handle it.
Yeah.
So if we don't deal with our childhood traumas, definitely that's going to affect it. We're going to pass it down to the next generation. So one of the major ones, shaming. Has any one of you ever experienced, or did any one of you experience shaming as a child? Like
She had to look at me.
like you're not good enough. Why can't you be more like your sister? Why can't you be
Well,
more
I
like your
experienced
brother?
that. Of
Things
course,
like
y'all
that.
can see that I am a plus size woman.
Mhm.
I've ever been a plus size girl, even to primary school. I've never been skinny, unfortunately. Or, yeah, I've never been small. My smallest size was 34, and that was in grade 3. And I know that people that are adults here watching that wear size 34. I wore that size in grade 3. That's how big I was. So I've ever been a big girl, even before puberty. Some people attribute it to puberty, oh, blah, blah, blah. But I've ever been big. So being a big child in school, I used to be teased a lot. I was even called, I grew up in Blawayo. So people that are big are called Stula. So they used to call me Stule. For them it's a joke, but for me it would hit me. Now, the thing here is, I come from a family of big people. And I remember, maybe my mother might not remember this question, but I remember entering her room and asking her, do you sometimes look at yourself in the mirror and see yourself ugly? Because you're big. And guess what she said? Yes. I know I was in primary school, but that response, I remember it. I remember, even as I'm speaking, I remember the days, like I'm speaking and I'm watching the event of me getting into the room and asking, Mommy, do you ever look at yourself in the mirror and think that and see yourself as ugly because you're big? Because that's what society was doing to me. So I would even go to, when I would commute to school by myself, because my mom trusted me to be responsible. Even at a young age, 9 years, 7 years, I was going to school by myself, commuting from home to town and that. When I would enter public transport, even the conductors in the public transport would tease me, say like, you look like a woman in a uniform, So, or the worst of it all is that as a kid, I would be followed by cars of grown men trying to ask me out, and they see that I'm a kid, but because my body is not like resembling a grade 3 or grade 4 child or girl, I would be approached by those kind of people. So, and when like you're a kid, you are told, don't talk to strangers, you just move. When you start moving, then that's when the shaming starts. They start calling you names. Oh, you're not even pretty. I wanted to ask you directions. Those kind of things. Because I grew up in a township. I wanted to ask you directions. You're not even pretty. That kind of a thing. For a kid to hear that, it actually sticks to your mind. So that kind of, those kind of comments, I experienced them primary, secondary, high school, even part of university. Because I felt like, okay, I'm big, so I'm not pretty. I'm big, so I'm not the guy's spec. The guy's spec is slim, trim, slim, thick, or skinny. I am big. I am chubby. Guys don't like chubby girls. Guys in my school don't like chubby girls. Guys in my university don't like chubby girls. So basically, 1 + 1 = 2. All this body shaming means I am ugly. So I honestly speaking, I'll actually attribute it to the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit taught me to love myself. Because I would never look at myself in the mirror and see myself as pretty. When I'm wearing something, I would buy a dress or my mom buys me clothes. I would go and get dressed, stand in front of a mirror, and I would look at this dress. I'm like, it would look better if I was like 3 sizes less.
Yeah.
Can we just take a moment to say, I'm sorry. No. Seriously, I'm
Really?
sorry for that you had to go through that.
Oh, it's real. It's life. Yeah, like I would just be like, okay, this dress would look so much better if I had a tummy tuck, like if my waist was like this, and then my butt would be like this. So then goes to the phase of me getting into a life of wearing tummy tuckers. Now, it's very important to know that I've been wearing tummy tuckers as young as 14. Because fine. Other than the fact that we are taught, my mom, because I'm coming from a family of big people, my mom taught us how to dress our bodies well. Because, you know, a big person, you know, your body is already wobbly. What are you doing walking around that at times? Like, just be jiggling anyhow. So, like, my mom taught us to package ourselves properly. But for me, that packaging was like, okay, if I buy a tummy tucker that is 2 sizes smaller, it's going to trim my stomach a bit. And then I'm going to have this hourglass figure that I want. That makes me look a bit better in a dress. So already at the back of my mind, I don't see myself beautiful. Up until there was one day that I had a conversation with the Holy Spirit and was like, look at yourself in the mirror. And now I stared at myself in the mirror. Now he was telling me what he sees. Do you see how beautiful you are? Look at your eyes. Look at your nose. Look at your skin. My gosh, look at your skin.
And you do have beautiful skin.
She has beautiful skin, eh?
You're like, look at your skin. Look at yourself. And now because of that, I started gaining confidence. Now it was no longer, oh yeah, I missed that one thing. Because of that, I forced myself into different types of diets. Not because I wanted to lose weight for myself. I wanted to lose weight because I don't want people to speak bad about me. I don't know if my friend will ever get to watch this episode, but when she does, I think she'll make a shout out in the comments. That I remember telling her that I'm going to do a research because I'm a medical person. I'm going to do a research and I'm going to use myself as a specimen. I'm going to induce myself to lose weight to the extent that I wear a size 12. And I'll analyze how people treat me when I'm a size 12 and how people treat me when I'm a size 42. And then I'll publish this research to show that people do treat you based on how you look like. Or you get opportunities based on your body. And the society does deem slimmer people as beautiful. This is how the trauma got to me. Wow. It was to that extent. So now I went through different kind of diets just so that I could stop the shaming. And so that I could see myself looking better, like I'm enough. Because now, growing up, getting to a stage where I'm now an adult, I feel like, okay, chubby women are not liked by guys. Basically, we are the type of, I know someone watching can relate, like we are the kind of people that wait and wait and wait until the one that has got messy on you will come and say, hey sister, what up? But then that's not the truth. As I grew older now, my eyes got open, like, wait, when I left university, I got to see, like, wait, there are people that actually love chubby women. Okay, women of different types
people
of...
that actually are like, I wouldn't date
because
You are someone's spec.
To a certain extent that when someone actually came and told me that I like chubby women, I was like, there's something wrong with you. I was like, why? I was like, you can't be normal. I was like, why? I was like, because guys don't like chubby women.
But then there are guys who actually like chubby women.
Please don't come to my DM after this episode.
I beg you.
Please do go. Please do go.
Oh, please do.
But, you know...
Please do.
And then another thing that could also happen, as a result of this shaming is you could become a perfectionist.
True.
Like you can't even, and I have experienced people who are like this, right? When they make a mistake, they can't get over the fact that they made a mistake.
Yeah.
And this comes from being told you're not good enough, or this person, how come your sister can do this and you can't do this? And then now when they make a mistake, even at work, like I'm sure you've had, or you've experienced, or you might have been those people actually, where you are like, you're working with someone who, when they make a mistake, they keep talking about it. They can't get past the fact that it was a mistake and it's okay to make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes and we move on. And a number of the perfectionists that we see now are as a result of this trauma. That you are being constantly compared to someone else, or you are made to feel like you can do better, especially at a young age where you're still learning how to do it. and you're not yet there, but then you're being compared to other people, especially if you're slow in any area, be it school or things like that. The shaming happens, especially academically. People will be telling you, oh no, but then how come you're not? And African parents, you come back with the report and you're number 10, and they're like,
Why were you not
what's
number
the
one?
difference between you and the
Number
person who
one.
was number one?
So true.
And that is why most people become perfectionists. And in as much as we might want to think that it's a good thing, it's actually not, because most people who are perfectionists cannot forgive themselves when they make mistakes.
Do you know, for me, it's the other way around. Being a firstborn, everyone else is being told to be like you. So there is no room for mistake.
Yes, that's the
True.
thing. That's what we're
So you
talking
can't
about.
be real.
It's like,
Everyone
be
else
real.
is
Oh
being
my
told,
God.
follow after this one.
You
So
cannot be
guys, you're
real.
thinking every move you make, you're thinking, but what about the people who are coming behind me? What do they learn?
Exactly.
and that in itself will make you feel like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
What is this that they talk about? There's a name, that imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, imposter syndrome. Like, you then would not feel like you're good enough because you're constantly comparing yourself with someone else who might not even exist.
Oh
That's
my
the
God.
thing, though. I don't.
Like in your case, right?
There's a
you feel
version
like
of me in my head.
Exactly. There's a version of you that's in your head, and it's in your head alone. Like, no one else is even expecting you to be that
Exactly.
person. But then, because of that fact, I don't know how we could do better as parents as well. And I was thinking about it, like, even now, right? When you have a child, the moment another child comes into the picture, or another baby, not even necessarily, like for me, it's not even necessarily my baby, right? But a sibling or a cousin's baby who's younger, I'm already expecting my baby, who is still a baby, to be the responsible one.
She's unfair because it's just a baby.
Yes, exactly. But then I don't know, like, I was thinking about it recently. I was like, but they're still a child.
Exactly.
No, but also, there is also that aspect that I think it's inherent. For example, when we look at your baby, she has natural leadership skills.
Yes.
And so now it's a matter of balancing between leading her in the right way to lead. Because essentially you could become a bully.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Because
true.
you naturally just have a very strong personality.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so it's a matter of trying to find the balance between teaching the child how to lead well and yet not putting so much pressure on them, to become perfect.
And
Yeah.
not
Perfect.
being and not being disappointed or irritated when they don't act the way that you want them to act.
Giving them room to
the
make
grace that
mistakes.
they're still a child.
Yes.
And another child who is their age would probably come home crying, but then they're acting out in a way that they think at their baby age, they think this is the best way, which could be even like when you look at kids who are bullies, for example, right? It's just their way of coping. So
true.
they need to be trained, especially if they're bullies at a young age like that. I'm not talking about like people in high school or things like that. But then below 5 years, if your child is a bully, right? And then you reprimand them or you shout at them for being a bully, they're never going to learn. Because it's an experience to train them on how to act and not to punish them. Because they don't understand yet that this is actually, they don't understand the difference between good and bad
No, they don't.
at that age. So, yeah, that's a tricky one. And I really don't know how we can, because automatically, I'm telling you, automatically as a firstborn, right, the moment another child comes into play, you're expected to be 10 years older than your age.
Yeah.
And that can be traumatic.
You come to think of it, we're having a conversation earlier, and I was explaining how, my friend I've mainly in my whole life had two types of friends. It's either I have firstborns as friends or middle children as friends. And these two individuals, based on their position in the family, they exude certain characters that even grow into them into adulthood. My friend, like my best friend, like who's like a sister to me, she is a firstborn. She was made to mature at an early age because she was taking care of her siblings. So now she was trained to become a secondary mother before she was even 12.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, a part of her childhood was stripped away. And at the same time, she totally learned how to ignore herself. Now when she was now friends with me, it was weird, like, oh, you're spending money on yourself. Why are you doing that? Because for her, her thought is always like, another person has to eat. I cannot eat when that person is not eating. So now she had to now adapt to a whole new system, like, wait, I matter. Yes, I care about other people, but I matter. So now I can feed myself also. Okay, it's okay for me to buy myself a pair of shoes. Even if I didn't buy Thuba a pair of shoes. It's okay. It's normal. It's what normal people do. And then we go to the middle child that, as you said, once one child comes, for the middle child, once the last born comes, they're invisible.
Yeah.
Because the shine is on the pioneer, who is the firstborn, and the egg of the family. So the middle children tend to have this characteristic whereby they feel like their opinions don't matter. And usually, they are the ones that seem like they care about both kids, but actually it's a defense mechanism. It's a mechanism, like a reactive response mode, to say, in the sense that they're saying that, okay, since this one is taking the shine and that one is taking the shine, so what I can do as the middle child is to help them shine. So I will help them. That's why you see that the middle kids are the ones that tend to help the siblings the most. It's not because they actually do want to do that. It's because of the way that they've been brought up. So their opinions in the back of their mind, my opinion doesn't matter. So you'll notice that a middle child is quick to say, I'm sorry. Or quick to react to a statement because they feel like, okay, whatever expression that I need to express is not really valid. People take the firstborn's opinion and the lastborn's opinion over mine. My own opinions and my own actions and my own person doesn't really matter.
And
So there's okay, I'm just going to put to name those experiences, right?
Yeah.
So it is neglect coming from whoever, your caregiver or the people around you.
Yeah. Yes.
As a result, because you were never taught that you matter enough to be cared for.
Yeah.
As a result, you self-neglect.
Yeah.
You don't care about you. Not to say you don't know how to care about you. To tell yourself nice things. Like you were saying, that it's the Holy Spirit who had to teach you
How to love you.
To be nice to you.
Yeah.
To to spend money on yourself. Those are things then that you then have to learn to do, to realize that even it's good to take care of the people around you, but you are also a person.
You're also important.
And you also need, so even if nobody else is taking care of you, you also need to take care of you.
You need to take care of
And
yourself.
this neglect, right? When we're saying that neglect coming from adults or the caregivers, right? Sometimes it's not even neglect. It's how you interpret it as a child.
Okay.
Like, I'll keep going back to that example. When you tell a child that this is a baby or this is a child, I always give this example of my two nieces, right? The older one, they were sleeping on the couch. The younger one was sleeping on her leg. She got a cramp. And she's also young.
Yeah.
Like both below 10. She kept it inside. She started crying.
Oh.
But then the reason why she kept it inside and she wasn't saying anything up until we asked her what's going on. And then she's like, I have a cramp and the baby is sleeping on my leg. So I can't remove it. So it's not because we have told her that, you know what?
Don't
You
touch
can't
the
express
baby
yourself anymore because there's a baby. No, it's because it's how they interpret it. Like, okay, now we have a baby in the house.
Yeah.
And the baby is the baby. So now I have to be responsible. I have to be the bigger person. And that in itself can actually result in trauma. And then it's not necessarily coming from the parents. The only thing that the parents could do differently is probably noticing that.
Oh, one thing we need to mention is when a child says what they're going through, the response
It matters
of
a
the
lot.
parent.
It matters a lot.
Yes, don't be dismissive, because that's where the emotional neglect comes from, right? Like, even if it sounds silly, like, and trust me, you will hear that a lot. Like, someone will come and say, I am sad. You're making me sad. And you're like,
ma'am.
Making you sad.
"Ma'am,
How am I making you sad?
there's nothing that has happened in this situation that
Like,
should
no,
be making
you making
sad."
her sad.
But then I think
Period.
it's equally important to just acknowledge those feelings, because what we're trying to do now is to foster people that are whole and emotionally balanced.
I grew up in an environment where I learned that it was not safe for me to say out how I feel. Now, you know, you always complain about how I don't say what I'm going through and I'm not able to express myself. Oh, okay. Okay.
It's the safe lounge. Better go there.
It's because whenever I would say, or whenever people would find out how I'm feeling, the reaction would be negative.
Oh,
It's
Someone,
downplayed.
it wasn't downplayed. It was reversed. Almost like you are attacking me for being insufficient.
oh my.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You have done something. I feel this way. And then you get to find out. And then now, because of your traumas and the things that you're going through, you don't receive what I'm saying. You feel like I'm attacking you. As a result, you then attack the child. So then, essentially, I learned that it's not safe for me to say how I'm feeling.
It's better that you keep
I
it
used to have a
yourself.
journal. Hey, one day that journal was
Leaked.
discovered.
It's leaked.
Lord.
And if you're processing such feelings, oh my God.
Oh my goodness, I can relate because I also had a journal.
So then, I then also learned I can't write down what I'm feeling. I can't say it out, because when I say it out, it's a problem. Yeah, there's a time when I said out what I was feeling. And being African, I was told, what you go kurip?
Yeah, you have to.
It's almost like paying a fine or something.
It's like, it's called, what do you call it when you're saying give back what you took from me? Reparation? I don't know. Okay, yeah, but then it's like paying because you offended someone, so you need to pay them for the emotional toll that you've made them go through. You need to pay them something of financial or physical substance.
Now, imagine you're like a 14-year-old, right? You say something, apparently it has offended someone, and then you are then told, because you have done this thing, you need to pay cows. You are thinking,
People was using shady ways to get business. Okay, that's shady.
but you're only 14. You have no source of income. You don't understand how we got
Your
here.
parents are the
And
source of
these are
income.
old people telling you these things. Hey, but how did we get now?
You know nothing. You're still a kid. I mean, 14, you're still a kid.
That hurts. It hurts. It and then it makes you live in a shell.
Yeah.
Now that I'm old, you then come across friends like this who are like, no, but you have to express your feelings. You do not say things to us. Because I have been conditioned, my brain has conditioned me
And
to
now
say
imagine
it's not safe.
your brain, right, has been conditioned because of a childhood trauma. I also have a childhood trauma of being an only child. And people not wanting me to be in their inner circles because they have their families. And then I meet you. And then you're like, no. I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my trauma. And then you're also triggering my trauma.
But as we are saying this, yeah. I didn't know this was going to be like this. As we are saying this, I'm realizing. I remember we had this conversation the other day. That because you are taught that it's not safe to say it, you also kind of repress the feelings within you.
Yeah,
That's why then I was saying the other time, I do not even have the words to say what I'm feeling. I don't know how to name
what I'm feeling.
Because then even to myself, I taught myself, no, we don't feel these things. We don't say these things. Yeah, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, what you were saying, Caroline, that yes. Okay, I need to take time to process it because even for me as well, right? I actually realized, similar to what you were saying, that I feel that way, and that's why I feel offended as well when someone keeps me out of the loop, because I'm like, okay, this is what I grew up experiencing. I grew up experiencing people with their families and their siblings and doing things at their house, and then they include me because they feel bad or out
and
of
you feel
pity.
it. You feel it when you're an outsider.
Yes. You feel it because you're like, I'm not really, I'm not their sibling. Like, in as much as anything else could be there, you still feel it that I'm not like that. So then when it comes now to adult friendships and things like that, even relationships, right? We were laughing the other day that for me, I needed to have a check-in every single day to make sure that, you know what? And by check-in, I mean, I need to see you physically every single day for me to feel like we still have that connection. But it comes from not having it. And when it comes to friends, if they're not open enough with me, automatically it triggers me that, okay, like now I understand some of you. And then it triggers me to feel like, maybe, you know what, I just don't belong.
Yeah.
And I'm not part of the circle. But it comes from that
thing.
that childhood experience.
Yeah, that's totally true. Like, even for me, I actually can say that I'm a last born, right? But I grew up in a place where I noticed that my sister and the firstborn of our family, my brother, were getting along well as compared with them, with us getting along together. So with that being said, I felt misunderstood, which is why I actually ended up having a journal like Carol, because I felt like, okay, I'm not being understood, so I rather journal everything that I feel down. And yes, it leaked. But anyway, yeah, it did leak. But anyway, it actually affected me when I was now relating with other people. It caused me to develop a character of being a loner, whilst I'm actually not a loner or an introvert. It forced me to be an introvert, but yet I'm not an introvert. You get it? So I would be in a place whereby I would feel like, okay, I used to feel a sense of needing to belong to a certain groupie, whether it's school or university or even church. I would go and try and, and approach people, and people will always be people like, they're already having their own little clique thing. And you come in and you be like, oh, hi, my name is Thuba. They'll be like, they're talking, they'll be like, oh, hi. Right, Carol, you were saying. And then that thing on its own made me to feel like, okay. So then no one wants to relate with me. It now became that thing, okay, fine. No one wants to relate with me. So for me, I'll be by myself and I'll actually walk my own path. It will be me and the Holy Ghost. The rest of you people can go away. But now, God being God would want you to meet people.
Yes. Yeah.
So it took the Holy Spirit forcing me out of not out of his presence, but out of my comfort zone to say like, hey, you need to relate with people. Fine, everything happened as a kid and things like that. That's how you feel. That's what you experience, but you need to relate with people because in this journey of life, you're definitely going to need people. So you need to relate with people. Yeah. That's when I started going through a process of, trying to understand, okay, fine, I don't need to force myself to belong to a certain group. If people are going to be walking with me the path of life, we're going to meet one or the other. But forcing myself so that I belong is not the way to go. So I ended up finding peace in who I am, loving who I am and who God made me to be. And, just encountering different people and relating to them without forcing myself on them to like me. Even guys, it ended up being a thing whereby I found myself having cycles of, I won't say relationship, talking stages, whereby these people feed on my feminine energy. And it's because I'm trying so hard for you to like me.
Yeah.
Because I was never liked before. Like, I'm trying so hard for you to like me. So I'm giving off my feminine energy. Like what you said, I want that person to know me. Know everything about me. Let's go to the next stage. And then the next thing is that when they now see that kind of character coming from me, they'll be like, this one, she's creepy. Then they back off.
Yeah. And when you say about God working on your character and becoming better, I think an area where God is still working on me and he still has a great job to do in that department is when it comes to me checking up on people.
Amen. Hallelujah. Go deeper. Preach. Preacher.
It's that whole I don't belong thing. Like I'm on my own. I am on my own. So it takes a lot for me to be like, okay, maybe they actually miss me. Let me text them.
We love you.
I will question myself 50 times before sending a hi, how you doing?
We love you.
Unless you are one of those people who like constantly
we love you.
check up on me or who constantly send me messages.
We love you.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank
you.
The Lord has work to do.
He has a lot of work.
He has work to do. Hey.
I said he has work to
Thuba,
do.
we
I
love
love you
you
too, Caroline.
I love you too, Carol.
I know. We shall continue with the safe lounge.
Exactly.
We're doing a great work.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And you see, that was like, I just came. That was a reflex.
It was a reflex.
Thank you. Felt safer than saying I love you.
Like,
Now, I think can we just validate people who have gone through issues, people who have been body shamed, people who have gone through bullying for whatever reason, people who have felt that they were not heard for whatever reason. We'll start with you. What can you say to a person who has gone through that?
It's something similar to what I said in last week's episode, that at the end of the day, everyone is going through something. Statistics say that about 60% of adults have experienced childhood trauma. So that means that 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 3, like right now, 2 of us, and in this case, it's actually 100%.
3 of 3.
We have experienced childhood trauma. So whenever you're going through something, right, even as an adult, and you're trying to process how you can then heal through this, just give yourself grace and know that you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And probably if you were to talk to someone, if you were to talk about those experiences with someone, you would realize that you are not alone. And you can heal. Like what just happened here, we're talking about our life experiences, right? But then we could connect. And it's the same with everyone. And even for children who watch this podcast, who may have been going through some things and starting to feel like, oh my God, I'm experiencing neglect, I'm experiencing this. If you can't tell your parents that you're neglecting me, make them watch this episode. We will tell them for you. As we have rightfully done. And then, yes, there's time to heal and there's room to heal.
And Thuba, what would you say?
I would actually say that you don't have to fit in. You are actually the way you are because that's how God made you to be. God put you there uniquely the way you are so that you can make a difference. You don't have to be yellow like the rest of the world. Be blue and be confident in the blueness that you are, because that's that part of you that is a difference is actually imparting somebody else. So don't feel under pressure to fit in to any environment or to have a groupie. You are not designed to have a groupie. You were designed and made to thrive on your own.
You're fearfully and wonderfully made.
100%.
Yeah. Yes, and one last thing. Those that are inflicting childhood traumas, please, guys, work on yourself.
Yeah.
Work on yourself, become better, and create a better world. You don't want your children to experience what you experienced because you never took time to work on yourself and become a better person. That's all. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Tell us about your experiences and how you healed, how you're healing. We'd like to hear from you. All the stories in the comment section. And if you have any other topic that you want us to discuss, please make sure that you would just type it in the comment section or DM us on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you guys for joining us at the Safe Lounge. Thuba, where can people follow you, find you, DM you?
Oh, God. Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram. My tag is Wushle0697, or you can actually go on Spotify. I do have podcast called The Daily Bread with Thuba. It's on Spotify, daily doses of the Word of God to keep you going on each and every single day, and on TikTok at Word a Day, 01.
Awesome.
Thank you for
We'll
joining
also
us.
put that in
Thank
the
you for
description.
having.
Yes.
Thank you
you
for having. It was a
guys.
pleasure.
Please comment, like, follow, share.
And subscribe. How could you forget? Subscribe.
Subscribe.
Thank you.